Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT Americas Stage 1 for Week 5. My guest at this time is Cryo of 100 Thieves coming off of their match against KRU Esports, in which they fell on the losing end, thus finishing their regular season with a 3-2 overall record. So, Cryo, thank you so much for the opportunity. I mean, of course, just coming off of a pretty devastating loss. Well, not really devastating, but I'll leave it up to you to talk about that. Want to ask you just sort of first and foremost about the match. How are you feeling?
Um, I think, like you said, it wasn't a total devastating loss. Going into that game, we couldn't even get first seed, so we were just playing for second or third seed. Um, I think overall, speaking from my experience, it felt today was a felt like very much off day for us, and also myself as an individual. That was our first time playing in that like small little back room area. Um, I don't really want to go into it, but yeah, just overall, we had an off day, but it's all good.
Yeah, like I had an opportunity to ask Zix about like the sort of like mindset heading into today because like as you kind of mentioned, there's really nothing technically to play for because you guys pretty much had that third seed locked in, regardless of who won today. And like did that kind of play a factor into like how you guys were like approaching this match, or was it not really like that or anything like that?
Um, I don't want to say it directly, but I mean, it could have. For me personally, it didn't feel like a high pressure like match. It felt like pretty like kind of relaxed kind of match. In terms of like other matches that we've played, I think it was just a combination of things that just combination of like problems of that room and just like overall stakes of that match. But at the end of the day, we still could have gotten a champs point, so it was a pretty important match. Every match is important, so yeah, today it just felt very off, but we'll clean it up for playoffs.
I remember like at one point in the series in which like I think Bustio like had troubles with his keyboard, and I think that kind of just paused the series in that way for a little bit. I mean, since you kind of mentioned about that kind of aspect, was it a major obstacle for you, or just trying to just trying to get used to playing, um, in a much more closed environment compared to like on the main stage?
Yeah, I mean, it was a challenge for sure. I mean, that was our first time playing in that room against them. I think they've already played in that room once, but I mean, overall, like that room has a lot more white noise. So, in your ears, it's just like constant white noise in your ear. It was pretty hot in that room. I was like sweating, and I mean, I think the lighting in that room was very dark. So I think it was just like a combination of everything. It just felt like yeah, just like an off day, like very like low intensity match for us. We played like mediocre, but yeah, we just gotta look forward to playoffs. That's all.
Oh, for sure. At the very least, you guys got this day done, and now you can kind of look forward into a playoffs, and then try to build from here on out. And so, I mean, obviously, like I gotta ask you a little bit about the match itself. I mean, obviously, like heading into today, you basically been performing as one of the best players in this league, and so I mean, it comes to no surprise that kind of crew made it a point to kind of counter you, and try to do their best to stop you from doing the usual cryo things. Um, from your point of view, how much of a challenge was it for crew to just sort of like, um, you know, counter you, just stop you from just like doing your usual stuff?
Um, I'm not sure exactly if their plan was to like play around me, but I mean, yeah, I felt pretty inactive. Um, First map, I was playing retake a lot, and with an op as well, so it's pretty hard to get like into the rounds. And I think Icebox, just their whole like play style and their comp is something that is not normal. Not a lot of teams play Harbor, and yeah, I mean, they just kind of like it was an off day for us and something that we don't play against a lot. So they had a pretty good win over us today.
Yeah, like I mean, the previous time in which we last saw you guys faced off against each other was back in stage two playoffs, and obviously looking back, also it was like the crew, or more so the champions qualifying match. Obviously, crew came out of it on top, and so I can assume that you guys still had that fresh in your minds in the lead up to this. I mean, just sort of like looking at the challenge of crew now, like of an opponent they are. Um, after facing them today, where do you reckon like their level, their competitive level compared to the other teams in this league when it comes to looking to qualify for Masters and appearing in an international? Where you kind of look at Crew's level right now?
I mean, I've always thought of KRU as like a top 4, like top 3 team in Americas, so really no surprise there. I mean, I think they've gone to champs like every single year. So yeah, I mean, they're a really strong, formidable team. So um, yeah, I mean, like I said, we just really bad day for us. So yeah.
Um, as I said, you guys are finishing this regular season with a 3-2 overall record. A pretty decent performance, but obviously one in which obviously I can assume that you guys wanted to do much more better than that. And with the regular season now wrapped up, and you guys now focus on to qualifying for Masters Toronto in the playoffs. How do you look back on the regular season as a whole, given the team's performance and the roller coaster of a ride it has been, from my point of view? Um, what do you feel has been the biggest things that stood out to you when it comes to the group stage?
This year's group stage felt pretty similar to last year, stage 1, when we won. I said that a while ago. I think after our first win against EG, it felt like very similar to our stage 1 run where we got that win and then we kind of like build up momentum, like we're finding our footing. Everyone's confidence is pretty good. So yeah, I mean, as long as we focus on our own game and just focus on what makes us, a really good team, and yeah, I think we should be good.
What do you feel is the team's biggest weakness right now, from your point of view?
Um, I think just maintaining like that consistency of like having that consistency of our top form. Just like being consistent on that. There are like days where you know maybe we're not that like dialed in on like having good team play, having good fundamentals. We're just kind of like relying more on like individual plays. So I think that's definitely our biggest struggle right now, is just being consistent on that.
Hmm. And like, do you feel like that's kind of the biggest thing that the team has been kind of like struggling with, not just focusing on like stage one, but more so the entire year overall, including kickoff? The reliance to the over reliance to look at an individual's performance that can carry them to a victory. Do you feel like that's the kind of case for this team?
Um, Sorry, can you like repeat that last part?
Do you feel like this team has an over reliance of like an individual's effort, an individual carrying a team, as opposed to just sort of like having the team work together and win together?
Um, no, no, no. I think I think in situations where like we could have good team play and play off each other, people just like individually just like swing, go for their own play. So I think that's our biggest struggle. So as long as we be consistent on like having good team play and not relying on like like individual play, I think yeah, I think that's our biggest goal right now.
Mhm. And your next opponent, as opposed to, or not really as opposed, but your next opponent in regards to Under Thieves' schedule for Stage One is MIBR. I mean, pretty familiar opponent, I would say. Well, not really pretty familiar, but an opponent you guys faced earlier on in kickoff. As a matter of fact, it was the first team you guys faced, and you came out on top of that matchup. From that point on, obviously, MIBR is a much more different team compared to the previous point. And so, like, what do you feel is the biggest challenge that the team, or that, yeah, what do you feel is the biggest challenge that MIBR poses to you guys that might, prohibit you guys from advancing to the next round and possibly setting up that rematch against Crew?
Um, Honestly, honestly, I have no idea right now. Yeah, like you said, we played them once already, and we beat them. But that was our first match of the year. Their team is a lot different now. But I mean, like just like any game, we're gonna go into the game just focusing on our own game and just focusing on ourselves and playing to our style, our tempo. So that's our main focus right now.
As we know, the previous story of 100 Thieves, you guys were able to claw back and win Stage 1 playoffs last year. And, you guys are trying to get into position to do the same thing. What's the confidence level that you guys can at the very least, do that and make another repeat run?
Very high, very high. We've already shown this year that we've already shown this year that we can play up to that level that we had last year. We've made like a ton of good progress in practice these past few weeks, like past month. So we're feeling pretty good. Even today, like even though we lost, we showed some moments of like good team play. So looking at the positives there, but overall, we're just feeling pretty confident that we can qualify.
Of course, and hopefully you're just able to do that in due time, of course. So, Crowd, thank you so much for the opportunity for the interview. Really do appreciate it. Tough loss on, or tough luck on the loss, but of course, hopefully you guys can bounce back. And of course, thank you very much for the opportunity, and good luck on the rest of the road.
Thank you.